Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. We'll be talking everything Denver sports and beyond. Please like and subscribe if you are a sports fan like me. Let's do this.
Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. Well, it's been a little bit of time since the Broncos season ended. And it's time to talk a little bit of Denver Nuggets basketball. I was lucky enough last night to go to another Nuggets game. A highly contested game. The Nuggets, quite frankly, needed to win against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have dominated them in the last 6 meetings. And long overdue to talk some Denver Nuggets on this channel. And it was an amazing game to be at. Double overtime loss. Nuggets fall 140 to 139. Nikola Jokic is the first player in NBA history to have a 61-point triple-double. Two other players, Luka Doncic and James Harden, are the other two players to have 60-point triple-doubles. It was incredible to watch in person. The Nuggets were playing down. No Jamal Murray, no Michael Porter Jr. Granted, the Timberwolves were without a few of their guys who have done very well against the Nuggets, but it was an incredible game to be at. Nikola Jokic is just, he's a once a lifetime player for this franchise. Certainly was when he helped the Nuggets win the NBA championship 2 years ago. Continued that streak when he won the NBA MVP last year. Quite frankly, he should win it this year, but that's left to be decided by the voters. There's an argument for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but that's a whole other topic. But anyway, glad to be back. Let's dive a little bit deeper into where the Nuggets stand right now in the NBA regular season. During the Nikola Jokic era, in which he has become a dominant player in the NBA and is working his way up to being an all-time NBA great, the Nuggets have been about winning championships. That's the window. I understand the NBA season is very long. You can cover the team and the ebbs and flows of a very long 82-game season, but quite honestly, this team is all about the postseason. I don't really care about the regular season record as long as they're in the top 4 of the Western Conference, which it appears they will be again this year. Nikola Jokic, as good as ever, averaging a triple-double this year. As of last night, he's averaging 29.7 points, 12.8 rebounds, 10.2 assists, shooting 57.5% from the field. Absolutely just mind-blowing numbers. And that you can go on and on about the Nikola Jokic numbers. He's an amazing player. We're very lucky to have him in here in Denver. But this was a game the Nuggets had circled. Minnesota, ever since they lost to the Denver Nuggets in the 2023 NBA playoffs, the series in which they were beaten 4-1, including a clinching game, 5 at home, a game I was lucky enough to attend. That clinching game on the way there to the 2023 NBA title. Timberwolves have had the Nuggets number pretty much since that season. And for reasons that are unclear to me, the Nuggets either seem to not be able to match the physicality of the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are a very large team, but they also seem to get into a bit of default with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. not playing very well against the athletic Minnesota Timberwolves. The ironic part is neither one played last night, and the Nuggets took the Timberwolves to double overtime. For those who don't know, since the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets are in the same division, they play 4 times a season on top of their 2 postseason meetings. the one in 2023, which I just referenced, when the Nuggets won 5-1, and Minnesota last year beating the Denver Nuggets in 7 games in the Western Conference semifinals, including they won 3 games in Denver, including a game 7 here in Denver where the Nuggets, almost said Broncos, had a 20-point lead in that game and were unable to clinch on their own home floor, possibly one of the worst, if not the worst, playoff losses in Nuggets history. So the T-Wolves themselves have had a very up and down year, but they're getting hot at the right time. It's funny because it's a matchup thing. Timberwolves can look very pedestrian against most of the league, but clearly they love to take it to the Nuggets. They take it personally, and they showed up last night. It was an incredible atmosphere. Definitely happy to be there. Nuggets, however, still sitting at the 3 seed currently. However, they lost a game tonight in which they sat all of their starters against the San Antonio Spurs. So looking at the updated standings for right now, let me check that real quick because I want to make sure they are still in that spot, because I did not think that they were going to lose this game to the Spurs, who were promising but not very good. So let's take a look real quick. Now I'm curious. And I believe the Denver Nuggets should be still sitting. No, they have now slipped to the 4th spot because the Los Angeles Lakers won. So Denver now is in the 4th spot, which means they would play the Golden State Warriors. Now, at first glance, that doesn't seem good. You think, well, they're slipping to the 4th spot from being in the 3rd. However, the Nuggets, since the Warriors won the title, the Nuggets have played very well against this Golden State team. However, this Golden State team is now different with Jimmy Butler being traded from Miami to Golden State. But Nikola Jokic not only dominates the Warriors, as they don't really have an inside guy to handle him, he is downright just destroyed them on various nights. I was lucky to go to one of those games back in November, an NBA Cup game against the Golden State Warriors. So currently, Nuggets are 4th in the Western Conference and would host the Warriors in an opening round series. Not the worst thing in the world. If they were 3, they would have to play a 7-game series against the Timberwolves. They really don't have much of a shot now. With Houston winning again, they have 50 wins. Nuggets have 47. It will be very difficult for the Nuggets to, if not impossible, to go up to the 2 seed. So currently they're in the 4-5 matchup. Not ideal. You only have home court in the first round. If you were to advance, you'd be playing the majority of your games on the road, which brings me to my next point. Back in 2023, the Denver Nuggets were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They were technically the lowest win total number 1 seed in NBA history, but they took advantage of that. They rested some key players towards the end. They didn't go for every win towards the end of the season. They went for health. And in the end, this team went 16-4 in the playoffs, including a couple of gentlemen's sweeps, which are 4-1 victories over the Timberwolves and the Miami Heat in the finals, and beating Los Angeles Lakers in the way of the title. However, Denver does not have that advantage this year, partially because Denver's home record, which has been something where they have dominated teams at home, it's been pretty remarkable. They're not doing that this year. They've been fairly pedestrian at home. Home record in 2023 was 34-7. Home record this year is 22-16, which includes some bad losses. Bad losses to the Washington Wizards about a week and a half ago, one of the worst teams in the NBA. And they have lost some other notable home games to bad Eastern Conference opponents, which doesn't necessarily hurt their seeding in the West, but it definitely eventually catches up to you. Nuggets' remaining game was tonight against the Spurs, in which they lost after sitting everybody. They have 2 remaining Friday night against the Warriors, maybe a little bit of NBA playoff preview, and the Pacers. I'll be very curious to see how they play against the Warriors for a couple of reasons. One, coming off these bad back-to-back losses. Secondly, the Warriors are a much different team now with Jimmy Butler. And third, is it going to be sort of an advanced scout for a possible playoff matchup in the first round? Be very curious to see how the Nuggets play this one, who they play, how they play, and how this ultimately can fare in their favor. So, the other thing about the Nuggets is that some of their additions and things they have tried this year have worked. Some have not. And I'm comparing that to the championship team of 2 years ago. And I still think the Denver Nuggets still feel the loss of Bruce Brown, who left in free agency for Orlando. He was a bit of a journeyman player. He went and got his money. That's what happens when you win titles. Lower guys usually get picked up by other teams. And unfortunately, the Nuggets have been trying to develop a bench, mostly through the general manager, but the coach, Michael Malone, does not necessarily like to play bench players. So it's a bit of a contrast between the two. Zeke Naji continues to improve after he barely played in the 2023 title run, but he is not on the level, playoff level at this point. But we shall see. It's been a long season. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to continue to do more Nuggets reaction as they go into the 2025 NBA playoffs. I'm hoping that this playoff run will be a little longer than the 2024 run. But regardless, this is a good starting point. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks for coming back to my channel after a bit of a hiatus. And go Nuggets. It's going to be a lot to talk about. Thanks again.